Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Tonight I'm going to be doing a film review of a South Korean thriller. So I was very excited to see it. It's one of the newest ones. It's the same director of the film The Chaser. So if you're a fan of that memorable South Korean film, hopefully this review interests you. This is his follow-up movie. 2010 release. The director's name is Hong-jin, and this movie is called The Yellow Sea. And the story to The Yellow Sea is as follows. Gunam is a lonely taxi driver in China, struggling with the burden of massive debts owed to the mob. He is offered a way out of his problems. Travel across the Yellow Sea to Korea and assassinate an enemy of the mob. Gunam accepts, and so begins a journey of violence, double crosses, and some of the most intense hand-to-hand hatchet action you are ever likely to see. So Gunam is the main character. He is a lonely taxi driver in China, and he owes a lot of money to the mob. Now, the mob are demanding he pay $60,000 because his wife has left him, and his wife was supposed to pay her visa, which was $60,000. So now the mafia are very angry at Gunam. Gunam is trying his hardest to get the money together. He is constantly going to gambling halls, but he's always losing. And his job is a dead-end job, so he has no way of getting the money. So his situation looks very, very grim. Then all of a sudden he is approached by this underworld figure who says that if he chooses this job that he's about to propose to him, he will be free of his debt and he can start a new life. So this job consists of Gunam travelling across the Yellow Sea to Korea and eliminating an enemy of the mob. So Gunam reluctantly accepts. He's got no other choice. He goes over to Korea, but he finds out the target that he's supposed to kill has already been killed and that Gunam has been framed for the murder. So Gunam is trying to evade capture by the police, and at the same time the gangsters who are involved in this want him dead as well. So Gunam is going to get to the bottom of this by any means necessary to find out the truth and find out the people behind this betrayal of trust. So if you want to know how this movie unfolds and what's in store for Gunam, that is something you're going to have to find out for yourself. So hopefully that synopsis was interesting enough for you to take notice. Now my thoughts on this movie. This is another very memorable film from South Korea. Now, having said that, it doesn't come without its problems. Now, the biggest thing I loved about the movie, and I actually think that this director is very different because of the way it's shot. Now, when you say South Korean cinema, you think very bright cinematography. It's a trademark of South Korea, and a lot of directors do it. However, this director, it has the same South Korean feel, with vibrant colours, but it's done in a very cold and dank way, in that you really get the feeling you're mixing with the scum of the earth, which you are in this film. They're gangsters, and they're very poor gangsters, and it's a very poor area of China and Korea that this is set in. So Hong-jin, he provides something of a variation in the South Korean cinema. So if it's something you want that's a little bit different, and it's not so colourful, this is definitely one to check out. He has his own unique style, which makes him a very good director. Unfortunately, the problem with The Chaser was that it went for a little bit too long. There's a little bit of overkill, which is the same problem in this film. He tries to have character development, and he tries to mix the action in with it, and it's not sustained action, it's done in patches. So when you're on the edge of your seat, he lets go of the pressure valve, and he lets you have a breather, and then you'll go into another action sequence, and then you'll go back. Whereas films like Oh, I Saw the Devil, it sustained that moment of tension and action throughout the entire length. There was no let-up. So that was what made that movie so memorable, and you feel exhausted after it. But with this film, you feel exhausted because it goes for just a little bit too long, and you actually feel that you have been watching a movie that goes for 140 minutes. So that's the biggest criticism I have of it. The character development, while it was good, I actually thought it kind of distracted it from what it wanted to be, which was a solid action film. So yeah, I mean, 140 minutes, it should have been at the most 100 minutes. I reckon he could have cut out about 30 or 40 minutes of that to make it an even better movie. But, you know, it is a very good film. The acting was superb. It's the same cast of The Chaser, so if you've seen The Chaser, you'll be familiar with these actors. The story is very well done. I was a little bit surprised by that. I was just expecting a no-brain sort of thriller ride. It's a very complicated film, but I had no problem following the story. A lot of people have criticised it by being too confusing. I actually thought that maybe they weren't paying attention because I understood it my first go, and I actually thought that the depth of the story was very rewarding, but I just don't feel the pacing was done properly. Now, the character's very likeable, especially Gunam. It's not so much he's a likeable character, but you can sympathise with his situation. His wife left him and left him with this massive debt. So you want to see him come through at the end. And when these bad things happen to any character, you kind of have a little bit more of an impact because you know a little bit about them. And then you even feel sorry for the villains sometimes towards the end. So that's the kind of film it is. It doubles as an action film, but also a psychological character drama as well. Now, the action is superbly done. The choreography in the action sequences was really intense. There's a lot of car chase scenes, which I actually thought was very good, and there's a lot of carnage. So there's a lot of car crashes, and so if that's your kind of thriller, where you like your fast-paced action, this one will deliver. But just having said that, it does it in patches. It doesn't do it for a sustained, prolonged period. Now, what really surprised me about the movie the most is the brutality in the film. South Koreans aren't known so much for their shocking on-screen violence, but Hong-jin has really delivered in this film. It is a very brutal movie. Some of it is off-screen, but it doesn't let up in its graphic sort of nature. I mean, true gorehounds, if you want complete gore, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. But if you want some hard-hitting violence with hatchets and knives, then you're going to like this one. It's something a little bit different from the American mafia movies. There are no guns in the film, and it's all done by hand-to-hand combat. And the brutality of it really surprised me, and I actually thought it was a very pleasant surprise, because I wasn't really preparing myself for such a violent ride. So if you consider I Saw the Devil as a violent film, you're going to like this one because this is even more brutal than that. And that's a big statement, but I feel it's a statement that's worth it. Now, another problem I had with the movie, I thought the ending was a little bit anticlimactic, but having said that, it's still not as bad as a lot of Hollywood films out there with their endings. So, all in all, it's a very memorable film. Goes for too long, as I said, but if you want something that's a little bit different and that's a little bit more brutal than the usual South Korean thriller movie, then I would say definitely go out there and see this one. I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. Not as good as I Saw the Devil, but it's right up there with some of the best South Korean movies. So, yeah, that's my review for The Yellow Sea. 4 out of 5. It's a very good movie. Doesn't come without its flaws, but it's still one worth checking out. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.